Hey everybody, we're here with David now, and we're looking at Conduit 2. And David, I mean, it's very stereotypical to say, well, obviously, you know, it's got to be bigger and better whenever you make a sequel of any game, but Conduit 2 is so much bigger and so much better than the first game. I don't even know where to start. So I'm going to let you say, what was the first thing that you noticed that said, this has to be fixed and this is where we're going to go?
Well, probably the first thing that I noticed was the level design from the first game really needed to be expanded upon, have less linearity, and building upon that, the story needed to be told in a better fashion. You know, the cutscenes just weren't working in the first one. We wanted to integrate the story into the gameplay more, and we were able to do that through the use of hiring external writers. Matt Forbeck and Jason Blair were the two writers that worked on the game. They did a fantastic job. You know, unfortunately, you can't hear a lot of the one-liners and quibs and story overviews in the demos we've got going on here because it's really loud. But trust me, it's really funny. So we're really happy with how that kind of came together. We've noticed that a lot of people really get into it. They really understand the story now. And whenever we say that there's a lot of conspiracies and that they're tied together, there's a logic to it now. The first game offered a ton of different conspiracies and a ton of different ways that things were tied together in the story, but it took that crazy, awesome, insane human being to go and search the web to find out how they all connected, whereas in this one, there's a little bit more hand-holding. We actually will say, hey, here's the conspiracy, and right in the next level, we'll give you, and this is how it ties to this thing you were just doing. So we're not really beating it over the head with you, beating you over the head with it, but we are exposing the player to more of them and giving them the web that they can kind of figure out on their own. And that's the story side. So level design and story were a big thing. Other areas that the team did a great job improving upon were our networking solution. We have a really, really stable networking. We had a great job in the first game, but we've actually cut down our latency significantly for this one. We still feature the 12-player online, so a lot of things can happen, but we've got some killer weapons with tons of VFX, lots of things going off. So, you know, you've seen the game today. It's just much more intense than the first game was, and this refined code really helps us to keep it very, very silky smooth whenever you're playing online. The art direction is also something that we were really happy with, but what we found is because we went with a realistic, gritty look for Conduit 1, and we kept everything in Washington, D.C., there wasn't a whole lot for us to kind of explore our creative juices on, because it's Washington, D.C., it has to look like that. Whereas for Conduit 2, we're going all over the world. We've got jungles, we've got Siberian landscape, we've got ancient Chinese tombs. I mean, there's just so much really, really cool stuff going on in this game that it's hard to kind of explain everything and what I'm excited about the most, but it's just very action-packed. The levels are diverse. The level design in particular, one of the first things that we focused on is not just non-linearity of being able to choose which level you go to next, but also within the levels themselves offering multiple branches that provide unique gameplay experiences per branch. So you and I can play the same level. You might choose to go down the air shaft and walk through a puzzle of flaming spires and do a timing puzzle, whereas I'm like, you know what, I'm just charging through the door and I'm going to take out these 20 guys and we're going to get to the same location eventually, but I got there completely different than you. But what I won't necessarily get that you might is that, or vice versa, is that you might have discovered a secret weapon blueprint or a new level coordinates on your adventure that are there for me to go back and explore if I want to and to find, but I chose one path and maybe I got the weapon, but you got a brand new level that you can go to going on your path. So we just want to make sure that each of those are meaningful to the player. They're not just like, oh, now we're going to branch and now we're back. No, there's something to do in each one that's compelling.
Giving you a lot of replayability, of course, with that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, totally. I mean, I really feel like we developers say that a lot of times. We want you to replay the game. We want you to replay the game. Well, I do want you to replay the game, but we really want you to enjoy your first playthrough and be fulfilled. And that's why one of the things that we do is we don't structure our game in that we're necessarily encouraging you to play one mode over another. We've got 3 different modes in the game. The first being the campaign, where you play along a story. The story itself unfolds as you're beating the game. But then we also have a cooperative campaign mode, and then we have a competitive split-screen local and a competitive online that you can play as well. If you're the type of player that only wants to play the campaign, you can find all the secrets, you can unlock all the achievements, and you can earn credits to use in our in-game store to buy suit upgrades, to buy new weapons, to buy new models in case you want to do multiplayer, or to trick out your own suit. There's a lot of options for you if you're a single-player guy. But if you're a multiplayer guy, then we give you that way of achieving those same goals. But now you get it through killing online newbies, and taking them out and earning credits in that way. Or if you're a guy who likes to play with his buddies and you want to get together and do a cooperative campaign, we have our team invasion mode, which allows you and up to 3 friends on a local box to be able to play any of our invasion mode levels, and you fight wave upon wave of just really intense action. There's some really cool things that we did that are a little bit different than games like ODST did with their firefight mode. Whenever an enemy dies, they may drop a coin, or they may drop a really big coin. And what we found is just that fact that this coin is bouncing around the scene, you'll get some people that'll stop shooting bad guys and run over and collect that coin because they want the reward of that coin, because it's a bragging thing. You get to the end of the match and you're like, oh, you survived 5 waves and 400 enemies, and you get to the point and you're the guy at the top of the chart with your coins collected. It means something, and that's one of those things you can punch your buddy in the arm and say, you suck, you should have been better, and it's just fun for us to kind of offer that to the players.
Aside from invasion mode, what other modes are available in multiplayer?
Well, we've got 14 different game modes, and not counting invasion mode. So competitive multiplayer is very, very robust. 14 unique game modes across a free-for-all, team deathmatch, and team objective. Those are our 3 types of games, and then we've got 14 modes in any of those. Some of them range from your traditional deathmatch, team deathmatch, CTF, to a little bit more non-traditional, like ASE basketball, where you run over and you grab an ASC in the level, and you have to throw it into a giant hoop that's floating in the sky. So we do some really wacky, fun stuff, but that's kind of what makes Conduit Conduit. It's offering players something you can't find on any other game, on any other platform, and it's made exclusively for the Wii, takes advantage of all the great controls, the customization options, all the things we had before, ramps it up, but gives them something that we gamers can be proud of.
You mentioned the all-seeing eye, the ASC. Of course, huge part of the game. What other weapons and goodies, though, can we see in Conduit 2?
Well, there's a lot. Okay. So I'm glad I gave you a lot of documentation, just in case you need it. But essentially, we've got a ton of weapons, and I wish I could sit here and name them all off by my memory, but I couldn't do that. I wish I could, but I can't. Some of the really cool weapons that I really enjoy are not just brand new weapons that were never before seen in the game. Some of them are spin-offs of the games, or the weapons from the last game. So like our TPC launcher, which was a big fan favorite, where in Conduit 1 you would shoot it and it would bounce off a wall, shoot these grenades and bounce off walls, explode, cause lots of damage. You could do a lot of really fun strategy by bouncing them around corners, things like that. Well, for the sequel, what we did is we gave every weapon in the game a secondary fire mode. Some of them are simple iron sight modes for like a pistol. Some of them are scopes, and some of them are actually completely unique modes. The TPC launcher is one of those, gets a completely unique mode. You fire proximity mines. I don't know about you, but that was the best thing about GoldenEye, the first one, for me, was the proximity mines, because I would set them up and I'd watch my brothers die and I didn't even need to be around. It was just really, really funny for me. You can still get that kind of same feeling with the TPC launcher. It's secondary fire mode. You set up your little traps, draw them in by popping out, shooting at them, and cackle as they die. It's just a lot of fun, really enjoyable.
Very cool. Now, going back to the single-player campaign, we talked about the level design. There's a little bit more, I guess, of a reward at the end of the levels now, because you guys have included some huge, massive new bosses. Talk about that experience.
All right, so that's another thing that I wish I would remember, but I'm glad you did. We do have bosses in the game. They're epic bosses. When I say epic bosses, I don't mean that they are a scaled-up enemy that has 500 hit points instead of 100. I mean that they have a strategy, they have a tactic, they have 3 stages each of behaviors. So they are a traditional boss fight that you might find in a game more akin to like an action-adventure or like a God of War game, where you beat the boss down to a certain amount, and then he changes his strategy. And now he's attacking you with different moves, different frequencies, from different positions. He's making you rethink how you were just fighting. And then you beat him down again, and then he goes a little insane, and something else happens. You can kind of go, have some fun with it. And then you beat it at the end, and you get the nice big reward of, I won't spoil that one, but you get a nice big reward after beating each of our bosses. There are a good number of bosses. We're really happy with the ones that are in there. They do a great job of, continuing the intense pace. Our level designers did a fantastic job of structuring the levels so that there's a build-up of intensity for these bosses, so that after you beat the boss, it's like whoo, that was awesome. So moving forward, that's kind of where we wanted to go with our level designs.
Very cool, Dave. I don't know what else there is to cover, but I mean, it's just there's so much new stuff, and it's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yes. I guess the last question is that everybody's probably wondering is, when is this going to hit store shelves?
April 14th.